It's been forever. But I was sitting there and I was playing it, and even the remake, I was playing it, and I'm like, this seems really short. Like, there was a lot of stuff. You're just like, I remember that clock tower stuff, and I remember like the graveyard and all that, and I'm just like, there ain't none of that.
Fight was fun.
Yeah.
You either shot him to pieces or you deep fried him.
I vaguely remember it. We're live, by the way.
Right.
I vaguely remember the last time I played through Resident Evil 3 was before I was playing through all of them before Resident Evil 5 came out. So you're looking at like over 10 years ago. But I liked Resident Evil 3 a lot.
I played it. Probably about a month or two ago. I have it sitting here on my PS2. I was playing it just to refresh everything. And it's still good. This one is a lot shorter. They cut out a lot of good stuff.
I'm going to make perfectly clear, which a lot of people have trouble with. Just because there's a new one doesn't invalidate the old one. So the old one's still there. This isn't like George Lucas trying to delete Star Wars so he can have his special editions. The original Resident Evil is still there. Now, they'll never freaking remaster it or anything like that. Hopefully, if Sony will get their head out of their ass and just make PlayStation 1 disc work on the PlayStation 5. Why the fuck did they not? I mean, oh, God, that's a different thing altogether.
Oh,
they worked on the 3.
Resident Evil 3 on PlayStation is a great freaking game. Now, people bitch about the tank controls, I would say, or the god-awful CGI. The CGI hasn't changed. It was god-awful back then. The only thing that's changed is you and like what the modern games are. It's like if you sit there and play that game for 20 minutes, you would get used to the crappy PlayStation or the GameCube graphics. I have the GameCube one. And then you'd get right back into it, and you'd get used to tank controls in about an hour, and you'd have a hell of a lot of fun with the game. Just because they took everything out of the new game doesn't discount that it was, it's originally there. You originally play it. I also don't think just because you took all the stuff out of the new game, you could if you wanted to, if that was their vision. They didn't replace it though. It just seems to be cut, or they put that. I haven't played through the lab, but I heard that the new lab is just largely like the Resident Evil 2 lab. Is that right, Chad?
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even as big, but it's a lot of the same stuff. Like, you could tell they reused a lot of it. And the game, I think one thing is, like, not only is it short, it feels short because it moves so fast. Like, There's not a lot of downtime. Like, I mean, you're just like, as soon as something's up, like, I mean, there's a hospital level there that's pretty fun, but it's like you're in and out, like, I mean, it's like as soon as something's done, you're back into it. Like, okay, there's a breathing point for about 2 seconds, we're back into it. And I think that's probably one thing that makes it feel like it's shorter than it actually is. Like, just because it's very, you're going.
I've got another thing. This is something that is confusing people. I haven't played it myself, though. This is what's happening. Every time you don't have control of the game, even if you're getting bit by a zombie, I heard that the timer stops. So when you beat the game and it shows you play for 5 hours, that's 5 hours you actually had control of the character. So if you went back and you were playing the Steam version and you could see the Steam actual hours, it's probably closer to 8, which would put it in line with one of the scenarios from Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 7 for that matter. That's not a very long game. So the actual playtime is similar to them, but we're missing the routes, the extra routes, the B routes. So you had 4 in Resident Evil 2. Now, have you played through the Nightmare yet?
The Nightmare difficulty?
Yeah, on Resident Evil 3.
No, not on 3. I played through it one time on standard, and then I played like just a few. Here's what it does after you beat it. It opens up a store that you get like points toward, basically, in-game currency or whatever, that you can unlock stuff. So like if you want to play the game again and say you want to be like, oh, I want to play this, but I want to automatically have like the bolt cutters right from the get-go, it'll let you do that.
So it does let you buy key items. That's great.
Yes, you can buy key items.
That's a good thing there.
It's pretty. That's kind of cool that you can do that. Like you can upgrade your pouches. Like you can automatically start with 2 extra pouches. There's assault coins that make you do more damage. Defense coins make you take less damage.
I think they got the
one.
infinite launcher as well, but it's like super expensive.
Yeah, that one is like you're going to have to play through it a few times. But they have like
where your replay value comes in.
Exactly, and you could tell that's kind of what they were like. Hey, you want to speed run this? It's like we can show you how to speed run it.
Yeah, you just rocket launch your nemesis every time you show us his ugly face.
Well, the thing about that is Nemesis really is like the only time he's hunting you is in the beginning of the game when you're in Raccoon City. That's when like everybody expected him to be kind of like Mr. X. He's going to be like you're walking around Raccoon City, you're going to be hiding, and he's going to be kind of like stomping around and kind of do that whole Mr. X thing from Remake 2.
Yeah,
and he does do that briefly when you're trying to get back to the train station, and you're like, okay, I see how this is going to be. After that point, he's no longer stalking you. Every time he shows up after that, it's a boss fight. Like literally, like you're going to have to fight him. There's no real option after that. And there's a couple of times you kind of run from him, but it's like scripted run-throughs where you're pretty much it's making you do that. It's not
like
an
the
option.
alligator.
Yeah, pretty much like that.
I wish they had redone the alligator scene better. You know, where you get a choice to either blow him up or shoot him.
He's just a quick time event, essentially. It's left, right, left, if I remember right. And that's it. And then, you hit that little explodey thing. But, yeah, people saw the thing of Mr. X. And you got to remember that a lot of people, Outlast, I've not played Outlast myself, but Outlast and Alien Isolation are kind of niche. I think Alien ended up selling like 2 million copies or whatever. It should have sold 10. So when and then, of course, not that many people. Well, I had 7. So a lot of people, Mr. X shows up and he's like chasing your ass through fucking the whole damn police station. That's their first time they come into something like that. And a lot of times he's not actually that big of a threat. It's that he pushes you into threats, and that stomping around with the theme music really builds up tension, and people really like that. And so when they heard, oh, well, we're doing Resident Evil 3, they expected the whole damn game to be Nemesis chasing your ass. And when they didn't do that, even though that's more aligned to actually how the original game was, people were pissed off. I mean, I completely understand it because that's what I thought they was going to go with it too. I thought he was going to chase your ass through the whole damn game.
And that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He does in the original.
Well, it's scripted though, Eddie. It isn't like fucking. I mean, even the alien is scripted to a point, but once he's down and freaking decided he's going to come after your ass, it's very intense because you don't know what he's going to do. He's an extremely high threat, and the daddy on Resident Evil 7 and Mr. X, they chase your ass. You can't stand still. But generally, if you're really frustrated, what you do is you run to a damn save room, and he won't go down that way. But a lot of people were thinking that Nemesis was like, "Fuck your save room, I'm coming right in." And then there's
one part where he can, but it's not really a save room.
Yeah, he does something like that in the original one, if I remember right. Code Veronica had a scene like that too, right? If I remember. I can't remember exactly. Remember.
It's been so long.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it is.
There's anything chasing you in Code Veronica.
It's scripted, but somebody comes through the save room when I think as soon as you try to exit the door. I can't remember exactly what happened. But it's the remake. It's the reimagination of what Resident Evil 3 was, and Nemesis, the great enemy. Should have been into the whole game. I mean,
he's fairly easy to avoid also with that new dodge mechanic. Like, I mean, you can kind of go running right up to him, and just that dodge parry is pretty easy to get the hang of. So that's what saves you a lot of stuff. It's just being able to dodge parry around him. Even when he's coming at you aggressive, you can kind of tell he's faster than Mr. X, but with that dodge parry, that's like the game changer. It's like, oh, well, here he comes. I'm just going to, and as far as like some of the stores, like the toy store, you go in there and you're like, oh crap, I'm going to run in here and grab an item that I saw I missed, or now I have the lock pick or whatever. And it's like, he'll just stand outside the store and you'll see him standing there and he's there. But
yeah,
it's
I've
like,
seen the video of that.
It's like, he ain't going anywhere. So you're just like, whatever.
It's like he's gonna wave at you or something. And it's like he's just waiting for you.
Mr. X is a save away in that Sam save room. You just
that one underneath the stairs. It's like he's just hanging out there.
That's how you could take him out for a minute. Just keep shooting at him until he takes a knee, and then you just run away.
Oh, but I'm just like, fuck that. You ain't getting my bullet, son. I'm playing hardcore mode and just sit there and wait. But back to the Nightmare. What the Nightmare mode sounds like to me, it sounds almost like a Route B, where you've got different items and different enemies in different spots. But the difference is, the original Resident Evil 2, you can play Route B in standard. Well, here it's like, oh, it's a step above hardcore. Fuck you. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's like, I unlocked it and I looked at it, and also I did check my Steam. I got 6 hours into Resident Evil 3.
Wow, that's
I mean, literally, I just checked. It was 6. That's all it says is 6 hours, and I knew it was right about 5. And like I said, that's me playing all the way through on standard, and then me messing around for like probably 30 minutes, like post game, doing like a couple. I was trying out. So I think I'd unlocked like the silver. The Samurai Edge. I used some tokens to get it, and I was like testing it out because I was like, next time I play through, I'll probably use it. So I mean, you're looking probably start to finish 5 hours.
Yeah. Me and Jason, the deal was I was going to buy Doom Eternal with all the pre-orders and everything, and so I did it. And then Jason was supposed to buy Resident Evil 3 with all the pre-orders, and once he got wind, he's
like, maybe
out.
not.
No, he was. I think he's going to get Final Fantasy 7. He's like, you want to play Final Fantasy 7 with me? I immediately told him I'm not playing the PlayStation version. Yeah. I think
Final Fantasy.
This is what we'll do. If I buy that game, Eddie, will you play it through Steam Share?
Well, Final Fantasy 7?
No. Well, that's a year away for Steam. We'll do the same thing for that. But if I buy Resident Evil 3, will you play through it on Steam Share?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll buy it. Otherwise, I would just Steam Share Chad's copy. So I'll buy it after we're done with this, and then we can play it whenever. But
well, do what I did and get it off CD keys, and you get it cheaper that way.
It's on CD keys right now.
Yep.
Good.
I got the pre-order for like $40-something.
Is it $46?
I think it was 44 when I got it. Let me see what it is right now. I'm sure it's right up here at the top.
I've seen it on Freeman Gaming and Fanatical. The codes were cheaper than buying it straight from Steam.
It is. I've been using the CD keys, their .com thing. I use them on a lot of stuff. Here's the PC plus downloadable content, $37.69.
Oh, well, that's what we'll buy, Eddie. I'll buy that once we're done with the video. But there was high expectations, especially coming off of how good Resident Evil 2 was. There were things there I was worried about for being so fast, for them showing Project Resistance first, so them putting it together with Project Resistance. It started to get me worried that they're just trying to make
cram something in there.
Yeah, should have been a DLC, honestly. And then we've got to get our $60, so we'll put this Project Resistance. Capcom is so stupid on these big multiplayer games that those games should be free to play. Call of Duty Warzone is free to play. So you could sit there and get the Battle Royale part of Call of Duty and literally being free to play. They're going to make money off the Battle Pass, or if you play it and you like it, you'll just turn around and buy the campaign. But, dude, they're just – Capcom is so hit and miss. And so one of my YouTube buddies was in that Resident Evil video. I was bitching about it. About Resident Evil 4, and he was saying, well, shoot, Capcom milking the franchise, let's go for it, because he's a Resident Evil fan. I was like, no, you don't want their ass in the milk mode. When you want to get their ass in the milk mode, that's when you get your Street Fighter 5s, you get your Street Fighter Anniversary Collections, you get your Marvel's Capcom Infinite, you get your Mega Man 11. You can name as many or even more fuck ups than success stories.
Yeah.
Even as successful as RE2 remake and Monster Hunter World are, they're super awesome. And I would consider 7 for the most part a success. And Devil May Cry 5, but they're fuck ups a lot of times. And you get your Umbrella Cores, you got that stupid launcher Revelations 2. Of course, Street Fighter is what gets me I'm just butthurt.
Well, the problem with Monster Hunter World, you already know the problem with Monster Hunter World. You cannot get into another game unless you see all the cutscenes.
Yeah.
I wish you didn't have to do that.
Well, they're just stubborn as fuck. We paid money for these cutscenes, and fuck you. And you can't even skip the end game credits.
Press X, press X, press X. Nothing's happening. Yeah.
What's funny, Eddie, is that when you go and fight those siege battles like Syfy or Kuve, Tulof, or whatever it is, you could skip the intro of those. So it's not like it's something they would even have to do extra work for. They have it disabled on purpose because they want you to see, we spent all this time on these monster graphics. Fuck you. Watch it. But I digress. There's a way I see when somebody wants a remake is it's like, okay, it's a remake of a game that's like 20 years old. When they played it when they was like 15 or whatever, like let's pick, Final Fantasy or Resident Evil or like even Tomb Raider. That was like a huge part of their childhood. And so
the Resident Evil and Silent Hill series was.
Yeah. And so 20 years later, they're demanding a remake, and it needs to be like almost the exact same thing so that you're getting the nostalgia from it, just with pretty graphics. I personally disagree with that, but I think that's actually the majority of people's opinion.
How they feel.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, look at movies. Look at the what was it? Was it Gus Van Sant that did the Psycho remake, and he did it shot for shot? And it was like, if I'm going to watch the remake and it's shot for shot, why not just watch the original? You know what I mean? Which the games, I mean, I get it. You can update the control style and you can do and make it prettier. But if it's going to be identical, does it really matter?
Yeah, especially for us kind of retro type players who still have our PlayStations and shit all hooked up. Now, if you don't have it hooked up to your old TVs or whatever, or if you don't have it emulated,
flat screen.
Yeah. And you go put it in there, and you got dumbass shit like the PlayStation 4, which doesn't play all their old stuff. I can kind of understand that. Although if you're really adamant about playing it, you could do it. Even Final Fantasy VII, what that original game was remastered. The PC version, the IDOS one of me and you play, Chad, was remastered for PlayStation 4. So the original Final Fantasy VII, it's been on PlayStation 4 for a while. And then you could even play your PlayStation 1 classics on PS3. I think you could probably do it on PS Now through PS4, and then on Vita. You had all these ways to play Final Fantasy, but people were still demanding a remake, and the remake couldn't alter at all from what they had set in their mind of what they wanted it to be. Or you could add stuff, but you couldn't take out any way. You couldn't reimagine it or whatever the hell. That was just my rant about shit, but
well, what I've seen of 2, the with X, you couldn't actually bring them down and get ammo out of them when you did. In the original, you could.
In the original, he just shows up as like a surprise jump scare, big bullet sponge. It's like, you had better been having the shotgun or the grenade launcher in your inventory to take him out. That's how I remembered it. And he was only in the second playthrough, the B route, right? He wasn't in the first one. Okay, yeah, all right.
That's what I was thinking.
He was in Scenario B games, and when you took him down, you get ammo.
Yeah, and so if Capcom, which of course, I think the developers are going to have a different attitude. They're not just going to want to make the same fucking game that another developer made 20 years ago. And so when they take Mr. X and they revamp him as some of this stalker character that stalks your ass around, it enhanced the game. It separated them too. So now your remake 2 in the original one, they're vastly different games. Same story, same aesthetic for the most part, but it was so much better to have him as this thing that was more than just a freaking bullet sponge and just popped up for 2 seconds, about 4 times the end.
It definitely made you, in Remake, it made you rethink about, okay, because the whole thing of like in most of that game is backtracking to certain areas, especially in the police department. And it's like, oh crap, if he's following me over here and I've got these liquors, it's gonna suck. So you have to literally start figuring out, like, do I go this way or do I go the other way?
Or you just not run and you don't shoot anything and he won't find you for a while.
You have to run because Mr. X knows you. Yeah, if he knows you're there, he's going to get you. And there's some situations where I'm like almost positive that I'm clear of him. I think it's down there near the spade room on the the west side or whatever it is. It's near the
down
spade.
There in the interrogation room.
Yeah, it's where he's just. Well, not the interrogation group. It's on the west side, bottom floor. You need the spade key or whatever, or the clover key to get into both of them. Claire and Leon have to go there to get something. And then when you're down there with all those fucking liquors and zombies that are coming through the damn windows, it's almost, I've snuck past all these assholes, and yet Mr. X still comes down after me. I don't even think it's scripted. I think he's just, one zombie saw me out of the corner of his eyeball.
It's like he kind of has a thing where it's like, he's static. He can be wherever he needs to be at certain times. And it's like, there'll be certain things that'll happen. And it'll be like, crap, I didn't hear him. And now all of a sudden I hear him. Or if you hear him in one section, you can be like, if I can completely go around to another section, I can avoid him. Maybe not. It's not like he's following a direct path. It's like I think he can kind of omnipresent himself wherever he needs to be.
Yeah.
If he's out of sight,
Yeah, well, I saw a video where they were experimenting, and they said if you're trying to hide from him, don't shoot your gun. It'll take longer for him to find you. So they went to the library, they shot, and like a couple minutes later, he was right there. And then they did a test where they didn't shoot, and it took him longer to actually get there.
Yeah. And you got your machine, your little Uzi gun. You got knives. These are stealth type things to kind of negate that.
Yeah.
But once you take the stealth, you take Mr. X, you take the liquors, you take the zombies that have like retarded hit points, and then they just kind of seem to not die. And you got to go back and forth between the mansion, and it gets this amazing dynamic that the original Resident Evil 2 really didn't have. But from like a gameplay, it's like enhanced. And I would say it's even actually better than the original Resident Evil 2 and that. And I think that so many people saw that in Remake 2, and they're like, oh, well, Resident Evil 3 is going to be like that, except with Nemesis, and it fucking ate.
No.
No.
And the thing is like, I never really had high hopes for it, I don't think, originally, because they announced it so soon. Like, it's been like a year. And they were like, it's coming out, and it's a year later. And I'm like, logistically, it can't be. This can't be. I mean, even though they're just copy and pasting the engine, copy and pasting half the game, it's Capcom. Like, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can't expect too much.
What they did do at Resident Evil 3, I did like, was there was a cut scene where you find Marvin getting bit by Brad as he's turning into a zombie, and that explains why he's a zombie and why Marvin, the police guy, has a giant wound on him. That explains it. And that explains his quote to Leon. I forgot what it was. Badge or no badge, shoot or run, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Like, don't hesitate. Doesn't matter.
They're dead. Put them down.
They did a lot more with Marvin, and I guess most of the NPCs in the remake that made them more interesting and helped that just helped to flesh the story.
Remake 3 also.
Yeah,
like you get a little bit more into his character of like you can tell this is right before 2, like right before shit really hits the fan, and Kenda and he's like, you don't see his daughter, but you hear something, and he's talking to Jill, and like if you play 2, you know what he's doing. So
yeah. It's part of when you're talking about, well, you didn't expect much out of the remake, but I mean, if you looked at the remakes they had done in Resident Evil 4, it was literally the first remake, which is probably one of the most definitive, best remakes that's ever been done ever. And then you just came off of the hot success of 2, and so like the quality was way up there, and so I think a lot of people thought that that the 3 was if you take all the cynicism out of what Capcom will freaking turn into milk.
If it was a totally different company that didn't have a track record, yes, I could understand. But it's Capcom. It's like when I look at like all the different versions of Resident Evil 4 I played, and I'm like, man, they really half-assed this shit. And it's like, and it's got a year. And you're just like, I mean, it's like the difference between Street Fighter 4 and 5. There wasn't a big a gap between 4 and 5 as there was like 3 and 4. So you're like, well, automatically, they're not going to have as much time in it.
Yeah.
Well, these remakes can't seriously live up to, the first Resident Evil remake, which I did play through finally.
Now tell me,
that was fun.
Tell me about why you hesitated on that, Eddie.
Partly I didn't have a GameCube, and after a while I was like, I'll play it. Yeah, you sent it to me. That's when I actually played it.
I think I had to get you. I think I had to buy your fucking 360 hard drive, and then I had to. Me and Jerry, I think, went in on this on one Christmas or your birthday or something. We had to get you a 360 hard drive for one thing, and then we had to. Then I think I digitally got it for you or something like that as a gift. I got you Zero.
Resident Evil Zero.
Zero, yeah, because you had
Zero
played through
was
that.
fun. Yeah, I played through it a few times. I still can't get the leech achievement, killing the leech with a knife, no matter how many times I did.
Well, those leeches were motherfuckers.
Now, I'd Molotov one to where it's almost dead and just knife it the rest of the way. Because I seen the video of somebody doing that and they got the achievement, but I never did. I don't know why. Anyway, the Resident Evil remake, the remaster thing, that was pretty fun. I like the idea where you had to actually, choose which zombies to kill. Because when you kill them, you got to burn them or they come back and kill you. And they run at you and give you death uppercuts.
The red zombies or whatever.
The Crimson Heads. You fight one as a boss, or mini boss. And there's an easy way to kill him. You stick a grenade in his mouth and shoot it.
I didn't know that.
Or you just pump him full of bullets.
But I
found out about that when these guys was talking about speed running, how to fight things faster. That was one of the things.
That game's so freaking great.
When it came out, it kind of almost made you think it was not Resident Evil 1 because it looked so good. Like, it's like, oh, this must be like a reinterpretation, like a complete overhaul. But it's like, it was an overhaul just of the first game.
That is how you do a remake.
Yeah,
seriously.
And they added stuff. They didn't take much away.
Take too much out. They redid a lot of stuff. Redid a lot of the levels. The shark tank thing.
Yeah. But how freaking scary was that damn shark? It was like goddamn terrifying.
The original one was just a giant shark, and you can just shoot it and it'll go away for a while. And then when you drain the water, you can just pump bullets into it or knife it or whatever. In this one, you gotta actually death shock it, or else you can't get the key and it eats you. And
I think was the puzzle part where you're trying to do some switches and shit before it's trying to break through the tub? Was that in the original, Rich? Okay.
No, that wasn't in the original. The tank was already broken.
Okay.
And the room was flooded, and you just had to run around the rooms.
Yeah, and I was playing through just the PC version in a couple of days. That game looks fucking incredible even today. It totally holds up, and that's kind of almost like thinking that they don't need to remake the remake or whatever. Freaking
No, Crimson Heads are enough.
Especially since we just got Resident Evil 3, which looks like a bork up to me. I'm still gonna play it. I'll get it for you, Eddie.
It's totally worth playing. $60 is a hefty price for it, considering the. I mean, it's like I guess that I'm sure they were like, oh man, we'll throw this Project Resistance in there and people will play it, but it's like I haven't even touched
from
that
what
yet.
I've seen of it, I would say 20.
Yeah, it's probably like there should be a budget for like games that come out like that where they're not 60, but they're like $39.99, but you never see it anymore. You know, it's like, why does everything have to be $60?
Yeah. They had put it on sale several times for pre-order, which made me suspect that's another thing that made you suspect that was kind of iffy.
Yeah.
But the interpretation is like, oh, if you're not a big AAA release or whatever, and you're charging $40 and somehow you're fucked up. But then you play games that, you know, like Remnant of Ashes has a lower budget. Graphically, it's a lower budget, but from a gameplay, it was all there. And so, you know, when they charge $40, it makes it almost like I'm going to get that shit day one. But I mean, if you was to do like an Outbreak remaster or something like that, that should be $30. But I don't
it's
know.
kind of like they did the same thing when Link's Awakening remake came out. People were complaining. They were like, this is like the same exact game as it was, but it's prettier. You know, it's like completely redone. But people were like,
a couple of extra things in it.
Yeah, like a handful. And people were like, I can't believe they charged $60 for this. And it's like, it's Nintendo. What do you expect? Like, I mean, it's like, and I get that it's like a 10, 15-hour game. And it was fun. That remake was actually really fun. But it's another one of those that, like, I would just as soon play the original on my 3DS. Because I had it downloaded on the eShop. I've probably beaten that game about 40 times in my life.
I got it for Game Boy. I got it somewhere packed away. I don't know where exactly. But yeah, I played that so much, it wore out my original Game Boy.
Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome game. And it's one of those, once it was on the eShop, I was like, I'm just going to get it on the eShop so I can just save on it. Because it's more comfortable anyway than, you know, the Game Boys. But after playing that remake, I'll go back and play that remake again one day. But it's like, it's so close. It's pretty, but it's so close that like you could just as easy
to play the
other one. Yeah, I mean, it's like from a diehard fan of that game, it's like, oh, I like the remake, but I have no problem. It's not like it said nothing about that made me not want to go back and play the original ever again.
Now here's another one. I was trying to think today about games that are remake almost exactly to the T, and I have the same opinion you. Why don't play the original one? Super Mario All-Stars is similar to that. I would much rather play the NES Mario 3
I was
than
the
the
same way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I mean, granted, 2 and 3, I mean, even 1, but I mean, like, they look great. They looked awesome. But as far as like, if I'm going to sit down and play one, I'll play the originals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same game, you know, note for note. It just looks a lot better, and that's fine, but it's not necessary.
And then you've got kind of like, kind of going back to like the Resident Evil 7 versus all of these remakes they're doing. You've got games that were in like franchises. Tomb Raider is a perfect example. After all of those god awful Tomb Raiders from what was it, Core or whatever it was, the actual people who made Tomb Raider, the Angel of Darkness was like a huge shit show. It's like they had to take. The franchise was in such trouble, they had to literally take it from the people who made it, and they gave it to Crystal Dynamics, and then that's how they made Tomb Raider Legend, which was like, it's a sequel, but it's really a soft reboot, and they redid every fucking thing. And then they actually, after that, they made Tomb Raider, damn it, I think is it Anniversary? I think they call it Anniversary, but it's like the original Tomb Raider, except redone in the Legends engine. And it's like so much better than what the original game was. And those were games that needed a reboot. And kind of like 7 was definitely needed to be a reboot after 6. But I just some of these remasters, remakes, they don't have a purpose. 4 does not have a purpose really to me besides the quest for more money.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the money. Just like with I hate to kind of mention this because there's a low point for me.
Silent Hill Origins.
Silent Hill Downpour. Origins was decent.
Tell me about both of them.
Well, Origins, you play as a truck driver and you get stranded in Silent Hill, and he has his own past he's dealing with. And, you can actually fight monsters. You can actually punch the monsters. You can use guns.
I thought Origins was a direct remake of 1. Am I wrong?
No. That's Shattered Memories.
Tell me about Shattered Memories.
Shattered Memories is the Jacob's Ladder ending thing where, he's already dead.
He was dead the whole time.
Yeah, and you're going through Alessa's memories of her being stranded in the town growing up or whatever. And, Downpour is just, yeah.
And so
that game froze on me so many times.
So Shattered Memories is like, I guess, a new engine and everything of the first one.
Yeah. And you get the Jacob's Ladder ending where, Harry's already dead and Cheryl grew up in Silent Hill.
How close is that to the original? Is it like way different or?
Way different.
Okay. So it's like almost completely or complete reimagination of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reimagination. Completely redone everything.
And of course, after Downpour, although I think Homecoming would have been the same way, even though I haven't played it.
Homecoming was actually decent compared to Downpour. Homecoming was good.
After Downpour, you need to redo everything. And so that's why you have Silent Hills, except Konami's going to fuck that up immediately.
Yeah, well, Silent Hills didn't really get off the ground past the trailer.
Dude, PT was so good. It was
that was good. It was going to be a good game. And I forgot what company it was, but when Silent Hills got canceled, they were going to do a game similar to it called Allison Road, and then it gets canceled, and I'm like, oh, God. I had to give up on it.
Yeah. Well, Konami's in a way worse shape than Capcom is. Freaking, when Konami rebooted Contra, you know what? They fucked it up. Rogue Core is solid shit. Castlevania Lord of Shadow is essentially taking another development team, some Spanish guys, just making like a Lord of the Rings type God of War game, and they just slop Castlevania on top. And then it's like, okay, guys, it's now Castlevania. Dracula and Simon Belmont, they're the same guy. So go and make a story out of this. And then, they do okay in part 1. And then freaking Mirrors of Fate and Lord of Shadow 2 were just shit slop. It's just, and now people was like, well, Sony and Kojima, they're going to remake Silent Hills. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so, man. Konami does nothing but fuck up.
Is this going to be like, what was it, Dead Island 2 in, forever development limbo?
You won't even get that far, man, because they're not going to spend the money.
Yeah, I'm about to say, they're not going to be that ambitious at all.
What you need is an indie development team, kind of like Bloodstained, and they're going to make a Quiet Slope. You got to buy the Quiet Slope when it comes out, Eddie. You kickstart it, you back it, and hopefully it actually happens.
Yeah, I did. It was called, what was it? Lone Survivor. It's kind of like a Silent Hill-esque, Resident Evil-esque. It is a side-scroller game. It was pretty fun, but it was short.
Yeah,
but it did good things.
There's Steam survival horror games out there if you look for them. Now, whether they're of high quality, I haven't done enough looking into it to see. They won't have the budget of, anything that looks like in the remake engine, because that remake engine is tight. But I think that people have high expectations of when you remake it. They want it a certain way, and any kind of deviation from what they have in their mind, and they'll be pissed off. They'll be far more open to whatever Resident Evil 8 ends up being, as opposed to what Remake 4 is. So you've got all the eyes down. They're going to buy the game. I mean, they'll buy it. They're going to bitch at hell if they fuck it up.
I'm seeing this video you put on, Steve, and I remember something else they took out of Resident Evil 3.
What was that?
They took out blue herbs.
Yeah.
So
it's just
There's no
There
blue
wasn't-
herbs in Resident Evil 3.
There wasn't much poison in Resident Evil 2 besides the G adults, right?
Yeah.
Or did the Ivies did it? The Ivies killed you.
Yeah, the Ivies poisoned you.
Okay.
But there was something else poisoning you too. The spiders. The spiders poisoned you. They took out the spiders in 2.
I about to say in 3 they had the spider fight, and that's pretty much you'll get those parasites, and that's probably the only time you would need a blue herb. Now you just pop a green one, but yeah, it's just green and red. There's no more blues. You know, like you remember, like in 2, it give you a little bit of that boost shield if you took the red, green, and blue at the same time,
which is important as fuck on hardcore.
Yeah, that little buffer.
Yeah, they gave you enough that you could have 1 or 2 for each of the boss fights, and you just gotta just conserve that shit. And then when the first time you take a hit from Birkin or whatever, you just use your blue and green herb. I'm still hoping that the game's fun enough to me. I'll definitely go through hardcore and nightmare and probably inferno, and I'm hoping that. Well, I guess if it's so short that I might go through an S rank, and I know you need 5 saves. Eddie, I don't think I've never S ranked any of the actual old tank control ones. I've only S ranked like Resident Evil 5 and 6 and stuff like that.
I remember doing speed runs with 2, and I unlocked the rocket launcher once, but I lost it when I replayed it.
You saved over your save file?
Yep. I almost got beat Resident Evil 2 Leon in under 3 hours on PC, but it took me a while to actually figure out how to play with the keyboard. So if I
that would be tricky.
If you had to
I
grab
would have to
pad,
actually play it again and master it good enough to where I can do it. I can do it. It's just it takes practice.
Well, man, you just got to get you a GameCube, Eddie. You got to get you a GameCube. All that shit's on the GameCube. I mean, hell, if I know what
about Resident Evil 2.
That's what I'm talking about.
Get you a Wii.
Get you a Wii, and then but those games are pricey, aren't they, Chad? What are they running? What's Resident
Evil 2? They used to be. I don't know. I'm so far out of the game on those. Let me check. But yeah, they used to be you remember like 3 was like super expensive for a minute. I think they were like $30 a piece, give or take.
So they're still up there.
Yeah, for what they are.
1 through 4 for PlayStation 2. Yeah, I already have those I got the originals.
Yeah.
Hey, it looks like you can get them for basically, let's see, $10, $10.
Why would I want to get them again?
That's what I'm just saying, the originals on GameCube. Wow, you can still get factory sealed some of these. Which I don't know why would be a surprise. I mean, I'm sure they had a lot of backstock on those.
They were fairly late. Well, no, there wasn't a lot of backstock. Those were limited releases. The reason being, Eddie, is that they were mostly the best versions, except for maybe Resident Evil 3, which might have been a little bit better on Dreamcast.
The GameCube version of 3 is like, it goes for a bit.
Okay.
Let me check. Like
PS2
over $50.
PlayStation.
Those PlayStations were like the greatest hits. I think each one of them were greatest hits. So maybe if you was trying to find like the ones that didn't have the greatest hit logo on it, it cost more. But I doubt it, Eddie. Those things were cheap. I think that Sony should take their stuff and charge $5 for a remaster. Where it's like, oh, we're going to take the PlayStation game that was real popular. We're going to give it achievements. We're going to give it just a quick menu upscale and scale it to 16:9 for the widescreen. Just widescreen and damn achievements. And then just there's your remastered copy or whatever. But no, they ain't going to do that.
Yeah, GameCube, if you want that Resident Evil 3 for GameCube, it's going to run you about $70 now.
Oh boy, fuck that.
That's like crazy. Apparently, what's funny is like you can get 1, 2, and 4 for like less than $50, all 3 of them together. But it's I guess 3 was probably because it was such a because you remember it was like late when they came out with 3. They didn't come out with them all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one right here says 2003. That would have been late in the GameCube era, wouldn't it? Because what was that, like 01, 2000? I think it was 2000.
Xbox 360 came out in 2005, I believe.
Yeah, so you're hitting pretty far into that,
And Code Veronica might be expensive on it too, but you get Code Veronica on PlayStation 2, don't you, Eddie?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a really good version of it too. They added a little bit of stuff. I think they added stuff with Wesker and things.
Yeah, he's in battle mode.
You do not want to get the complete version of Code Veronica on GameCube.
Why's that? Oh, how much is it?
This one right here was like $100.
Oh, fuck that.
Oh, you can get all of them on GameCube for $299. That's somebody paid that. That is not like asking. That's somebody paid that.
Yeah. It had the extra control scheme that I like.
I remember that.
You walk with the actual holding down the right trigger, Eddie. And then like the GameCube had that little bump when you held down the right trigger and you hit a little bump and you would that would be to make it run. The bump isn't on the Elite controller though, so like playing the remasters and stuff of like at least 1 and I guess 0 as well with that control scheme. Although I don't think 0 didn't have that control scheme because you had to worry about the other player. You could go from like running to walking real fast. It's like you gotta be careful there. But that's the ones I have. So and I guess they're going to be timeless because although maybe I would get Code Veronica. I don't think it's on PC. I might get it on Xbox one day. I don't know what all they added to it.
I don't remember because I remember looking at it when I was getting ones for 360 because they had them all on there and I'm like I think they had a bundle at one point and I ended up not getting the bundle. I just got like 4 or something.
Yeah.
But I think it was basically like people were like it's the PS2 version. I think is what they were saying.
Yeah, and I have PS2 version. The only reason I got Greatest Hits for Silent Hill 2 and regular Silent Hill 2 is Greatest Hits version has the UFO ending in it.
Okay, so they added some stuff. Well, we ain't going to talk about that Silent Hill HD collection because...
No, people have already done that and people have already trashed that. I've seen multiple things on it.
Capcom will fuck up the remasters, but Konami can top that. Konami can make them shits absolutely way worse than the original game with new voice actors, freaking half-assed done versions, all of it, man. One of these days, I do want to go through Silent Hill 2 and 3 because I played through a little bit of 1 way back in the day. That game was rough.
Hey, man, that was a fun game. I got it for Christmas with Resident Evil. It was fun.
Yeah, but Resident Evil had the static backgrounds while just like the Silent Hill was completely 3D, and which PlayStation, I mean, they really pushed the 3D on PlayStation, but that was never really where PlayStation actually shine. It was just 3D was the thing at the time, and so those static backgrounds, especially with games like Resident Evil 2, which look still in the day pretty damn good. And you'd have the 3D polygon guys in there with the freaking fucked up face, the squall face from remember like freaking Final Fantasy VIII. They're at the party with Rhinona, and she's like, "Man, you sure are sharp looking." It's just like a bunch of pixelated shit black.
And then he had to go fight a dinosaur with his teacher that was hitting on him.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember being in the training center. I want to see the T-Rex.
Everybody wants him because he's an emo asshole, right? That's what it is.
No kidding.
I wanted to, just go to the training center and hang out there for most of the game. That's what I did. Let's go to the training center.
Every time you killed that dinosaur, Eddie, you got over a level. And remember, the experience was static down his increase. So I would just get there and you put sleep on his ass and you just keep getting good shit from him. And as he levels up, he'll give you better shit. And I would max my damn level out just on the freaking Ballum right there. With I usually use when I got Zell and Selfie or whatever her name was, and then we would just go in there and max that shit out, and freaking everybody's pimped out with stuff for the whole game. Of course, the enemies got better too, but
Yeah.
You could still make your dude broke as fuck and just annihilate.
Fight your way to ultimate weapon. By the time you get there and you're level 100, he's level 100, and he's, one-shotting your guys. and you got to get Eden from him, so somebody had to have draw, and all
you had to do is cast haste on a freaking Squall. Cast haste on him.
No. You did aura thing, so you did his limit breaker over and over again.
What I like to do, Eddie, is you need to cast Meltdown on an enemy to drop their defense.
Yeah, that too. You would cast
haste and berserk on Squall, and then have drain as his element. So every time he hit him, he did 9,000 damage. He got 9,000 back, and then that's all you did. And the other two characters just stood there ready to buff or whatever they needed to do, while Squall just freaking auto kills everything in the game and never misses because he has that critical shot thing.
They would literally just sit there and just jiggle in the background, like just hop out.
He would go like 6 or 7 times between when the enemies could go. It would be like stupid.
I just like seeing everybody's limit breakers for some reason.
Yeah, that would be you get your guy down to critical and then just keep dropping down. That shit would be another good way to play it. Fuck summoning them damn monsters. That would take 5,000 years.
Well, I'd get Doom Train. Doom Train was fun. Eden was interesting. Where's the other one? Diablos.
That's a game that should have been remade as opposed to Final Fantasy VII. Because that game's a big fuck up. So you could go back and
refix it.
Refix everything. You'd have to
make the T-Rex look like the Anjanath and be more scary.
It just remake it all. I guess you'd have to redo the level system, redo the draw system, redo the junction, redo all of it. I mean, you can still have it be weird, but the drawing 9 magics at a time from an enemy is super gay.
Yeah, I hated drawing stuff, and I hated the junction system.
Yep. And then the best way to
probably just go ahead and redo the story while they're at it and change the characters. It'd probably been better too.
You kill off Irvine, you get rid of the orphan and shit. Eden could still be controlled by Luminessa, but you would have to do something to, redo it. And I guess Cypher could be a punk bitch still. But Zell needs to die, just because.
Oh, yeah. Right from the get-go.
Why did you hate him? I thought he was an okay
annoying,
character.
Man. Freaking him with his Jeet Kundo ass, like over there bouncing around.
It's the hot dog commander, man.
You knew as soon as he freaking showed up on that little hoverboard and it got confiscated, you're like, this guy's going to be annoying. You knew from, like, the first time.
But he likes the hot dog. He's like, oh, man, I'm too late for the hot dogs. Yeah, when I played through it, well, my brother got it, and when I played through it finally, I was like, this game's interesting. It took me a while to beat it, but I beat it. That was probably the only Final Fantasy game I've seriously played.
Yeah.
Now, I've played part of 7 where you're fighting Ruby Weapon, and you had to do some weird stuff to actually get him to bury his claws. You had to, kill off one of your guys and then, do a Phoenix thing, whatever, and have him dead there, do the Phoenix thing, and then he buries his claws, and then he's easier to fight, something like that.
Now, those weapons, I don't think they were in there as part of the story, but you couldn't fight them, I believe, until the international version. So we got the international first. The Japanese had to buy it again. It's almost like saying it's a DLC type thing, except you had to buy the whole damn game back then.
I was about to say, you had to buy the whole disc back then to get the DLC.
And then Ultima, you had to fight several times to get his sword.
An 8 or 7?
7.
I don't remember exactly.
Because Cloud, uses giant swords.
Yeah.
Ultimate weapon, sword was... It
was a rainbow sword, right?
Yeah, giant rainbow sword. You had to fight him several, 7, 8 times, I think. And every time he ran off, and you just had to chase him around.
They have vastly changed. Now, I haven't played the remake, but they have vastly changed from not just the combat, but they changed the story. And at the end of the Midgar part in Final Fantasy VII Remake, they pretty much go, I guess official fan fiction would be the word. I don't want to spoil anything, but official fan fiction, it's all out the window. Everything's on the table. We can change whatever the fuck we want now. And that pissed off ungodly amounts of people. I think it pissed off.
Did they make freaking Cloud make out with
Sephiroth? I mean, a lot of people do, because they seem to be horny each other. It's so many people.
Is it like with Wesker's unhealthy obsession with Chris?
Yeah. So many people wanted Square, this modern Square, to remake Final Fantasy VII, but not change anything. It just has to be the exact same game. They were never going to do that. And then as soon as they were going to get into the story part, you were going to get Advent Children stupid shit. It was like a guarantee. It's like, has no one played Final Fantasy 13, the 13-2, 13-3? No one played 12. Has no one played Final Fantasy 15 with the Pretty Boys, with a god-awful story? It was like near uncertain that what they did. And so this is what Jim Sterling says. He subverted your expectations. And I know when he said that the implication goes right back to Star Wars. It's like, of course, he's fine with it, because the way he sees it and the way I see it is like, well, Final Fantasy VII still exists. You can't fuck up the original one. It's still there. You can play it. But, boy, you can fuck up the new one. It's just...
Yeah, it's probably what they did.
Yeah.
Probably what they're going to finish doing.
It's being made by the Kingdom Hearts guy, so we got to throw some Kingdom Hearts style stupid shit in there. Shit don't make no sense. Don't belong.
Are the Guardian Forces still in the game somewhere?
The summons are in there. In fact, you get this in the original game. You didn't get any summons, I don't believe, until you got outside of Midgar. But here, they were giving you that shit as pre-order bonuses if you got the $170 edition.
Okay.
I'm going to get it. We are going to definitely not get that shit on PlayStation. I don't want to be stuck because I don't know how good the PlayStation 5 will be. And so it's like, even though I know that will be the main platform for it, I'll just get it on PC. And it's going to take them years and years and years to get that shit out. And they say that it's going to be for PlayStation 4. Yeah, in 2025, they're not going to release Part 3 or whatever, or Part 2 for PlayStation.
On the PlayStation 4.
I'll be playing Silent Hills and Dead Island 2 before that happens.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, Eddie.
Right? Will you be playing it with me?
I mean, I don't think so, Eddie. The Konami said that they're not doing those remakes. They came out and said that they were going to do it. There's supposed to be 2 Silent Hill games. They could be lying. They could, like when when Harrison Ford said that Han Solo doesn't die in Star Wars 7, they could be lying, but they're probably not. Probably not.
They probably didn't try to shop the idea out. They were like, can we get another company to make this? And when nobody said yes, they were like, we're not doing it. I mean, it's Konami. I mean, it's like...
Oh, man.
You got any hype for Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Hey, me?
No.
Yeah.
I don't.
Don't know hype at all.
I never did beat 7 because I would always lose interest in those games. Like, I think I made it to, like, the 3rd disc, and every time I'd stop playing it, and then I'd have to go back and start over because I would wait too long, and I'd be like, I don't remember what I was doing. I'll just start over. Same with Final Fantasy VIII. By the time it got teetered out to, we all grew up in an orphanage, I'd done zoned out. I was done.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like why I didn't really mind Resident Evil 3 Remake. And people are like, it's only 5 hours long. It's like, I don't need a game to be 40 hours long. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's short, and it could have been downloadable
that'd probably
content,
be Doom.
but...
Doom Eternal right there.
There's just
10 million deaths.
There's a huge difference between just, a short game and a short game where you feel like you got ripped off. The feeling that you got ripped off is really the key. And so for some people, if it's like, a 2-hour game, and it has a great story, something like maybe Last of Us, even if Last of Us is somehow a 2-hour game, but people would still be, because the story's so good, people would still feel that.
They'd be all right with it.
Yeah. Where if Resident Evil 3 has any stumbling, especially compared to the legacy of the remakes, and especially compared to they just put out Remake 2, it's going to be shit on. It's going to be shit into the 4. But I think that Final Fantasy VII is probably filled with huge amounts of fluff. It has to be. It has to be a bunch of fluff. And I am sure that they're going to flesh out and give a lot more dialogue for Tifa and Barrett and all that stuff. A lot of stuff that people really want to see, or maybe some chill down moments. But they're going to put so much stupid fluff in there.
Oh yeah,
Fluff.
They'll spend way too much time with dressing Cloud up like a chick to get him, pass by that horn dog. It's like they'll turn that into like several hours, just for the hell of it.
And then I think
I forgot about that part.
I think
like
that,
you said, I seen my brother play through parts of it. I think
there's whole sections I think where you can determine what dresses and stuff that Aerith and then Tifa wear in that too. Because remember, they're part of the people they can pick, and he always picks Cloud. Hell, maybe even Cloud's got different dresses, and so that they're going to really stretch that shit out. I've seen dancing sequences where you're pressing A button while you're down. The freaking Cloud is groove dancing and shit. All kinds of stupid shit. No. All kinds of stupid shit. 100 gig bloat game. That's what it looks like to me. Huge sections of the game where you're forced to walk slow because the PlayStation 4 can't handle a fucking 100 gigabyte down bloat game. That's just.
They got to hide them load times in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like walking across the hall.
Walking across it slowly, and sometimes like there's a lot of shit in God of War and stuff like that as well. But there's some part where like in Tomb Raider 2013 where you're going and she's going through tight corridors and shit that I kind of like. And then sometimes it's just I know what you're doing. I know we're over there in this fucking elevator and it takes 5 hours to go down.
Yeah. Revelations. Like every one of those elevators for a freaking load screen screen. You just didn't know it.
For the 3DS. So the aftermarket 3DS.
Silent Hill 2, the stairway to nowhere, and took a couple of minutes to get down.
I heard that there's supposed to be like a 5-minute ladder climbing sequences in Metal Gear Solid 3. Although Kojima just put it there to fuck with people, and I think he added background music and stuff. That sounds like something he would do.
Yeah.
But most of the time, the long pauses, the slow ass walks are there for a reason. Unless you're Red Dead 2 and you just you think your shit don't stink. And but a lot of people seem to like Final Fantasy, the remake. But until you get to the end, then they're like, what the fuck?
Maybe that was the trick to be like, they'll have to get the second installment because they'll be like, what the fuck?
This is the fan fiction installment.
Fan fiction installment. You make me real curious.
Well, you go and look that shit up, but I want to say anything more than that, Eddie. You can look it up to your heart's content later on. But, I mean, they've done it before. Freaking Final Fantasy 13 too, another game that no one asked for. And then and Lightning Returns, both of them are fan fictions. It's like they took bits and pieces of the story or characters, and then they just made something completely different. And so they have, they're like nothing to do with what originally, like the personalities or anything, and they make an entirely different game with it. And that might be what they're doing to Remake 7 Part 2 or whatever it is. We'll have to find out. But people's hot about it. People's real hot. Hey, I mean, the original Final Fantasy is still there. Y'all guys ain't gonna play it, but it's still there. It still holds up.
I think my brother has it. I'm not sure. I can find out. But,
the characters had the block arms. Even back then, they had the block arms.
Yeah. The Popeye forearms.
Freaking Popeye, yeah.
I was sitting here watching you go through your codes on Resident Evil 2, and it's like, you put in the wrong freaking code. I was sitting there watching, I was like, that code is not that. It's sad that I was watching it. Yeah, I was just sitting there watching it. That's what was entertaining, because you played this way later than I did, and I was like, every time I'd be like, you better take that with you, and you'd put it back in the stash and be like, you're going to be wishing you had that in a minute, and you had to backtrack all the way back around. It's like, yeah, that was a fun game.
Yeah. Well,
Steve, you ain't doing good at speed runs.
Hey man, if I'd have kept playing that shit, I get caught up. I was able to do the speed run on the remake 1. I got the rocket launcher that way, and then what I remember Resident Evil 5, it was broken up into sections. So really, you just need to worry about playing that section. You might as well do it with the infinite rocket launcher, since it counted. And I think you can use it on the new Resident Evil 3. You can use that rocket launcher since you worked so hard to earn it. You can use it for your S ranks if you want to.
You just got to unlock it. Basically, it's a lot of points, but I mean, you just keep.
You got to replay it 10 million times and to get the infinite rocket launcher, which 6 did not do. 6 didn't do that.
There was enough.
That's the only one that probably didn't have the infinite rocket launcher.
6 had a lot of problems compared to 5 as far as that kind of stuff, or even just buying your guns and upgrading them over time so that you feel like your gun in your arsenal, that's part of your character. It's like, no, you just get, once you find the gun or whatever, you have it all the time.
Yeah.
And your ammo, you don't have like a secret stash of ammo. It's not like you've hoarded 5,000 rifle bullets over the several plays, and then your inventory is always full of shit, and you got to make Tic Tacs.
Popping Tic Tacs, and that was the thing, is like you could tell like each one of those campaigns were made by a different development team also, because everything felt different on each one of those campaigns in 6.
Yeah, it's just
like the weapons felt like, it's almost like the changing of like your weapons out and everything just felt totally different. It was like this, you could tell this is convoluted and disproportionate.
I still haven't completed all the masteries in 6.
Are you talking about the dog tags?
No, the actual masteries. You get like masteries like for grenades, do extra damage when you unlock the mastery and buy it. Handguns do extra damage, stuff like that. I hadn't done all the things. There was pretty much like
just out of those little special abilities, there's pretty much like just a set things that was just better than everything else. And once I set that up, I just set it for every damn character, and I never really bothered with it. And I don't even remember what they were. Besides, I know that you could do like kung fu kicks and shit more often, or
shooting wild. You don't get the crosshairs, but you do a lot of damage.
Yeah. That's a game that needs to be remade as opposed to 4. That ain't what that's going to happen, but that's the game that should be remade.
That'll be one of those, like, it'll just get swept to the side.
We're going to pretend it don't exist. It's like Code Veronica. Just because Code Veronica came out on Dreamcast as opposed to PlayStation 2. So we're going to forget about it. But, it's what it is. And, the Dino Crisis game, if you'd brought that out when Jurassic World 2 came out, and it was just pretty much Resident Evil with dinosaurs in a mansion, if you'd have tied that in, but this is Capcom. But there's not much good dinosaur games besides that park simulator that Eddy's got.
I've heard Jurassic World.
Yeah,
Jurassic World Evolution. Yeah, it's pretty fun. You get your dinosaurs out, and you get your carnivores to eat your guests. Of course, your park rating goes down and everything, and then you'll eventually have to close your park. But it's fun watching your Ceratosaurus run around, watching your raptors and your Deinonychus
eat the poor people.
Yeah, there's actual missions where you gotta actually, they go crazy and you gotta corral them a whole bunch of times.
That's what I was saying. There's also that one on the Xbox. It's like super expensive.
What's the visual novel one?
No, it was like Operation Genesis or whatever it was on the original Xbox. The
original Operation Genesis. I keep hearing that is the go-to one because on PC you can do all kinds of mods. I've seen people do Godzilla mods. Have Godzilla in your park. There's one where this one guy had Titanoboa, a whole bunch of terror birds, and some other stuff. And it was just showing off really cool things. They've even did mods for Jurassic World Evolution to come up with oddball dinosaurs that never got to get shown. And some fictional stuff that was in some of the original drafts, early drafts for Jurassic World, but never got shown.
Well, I've got to go pee real bad, guys. So we'll cut this down. But we still need to do a podcast about Doom sometime, like the original Dooms. Eddie, you want to be?
Doom.
Yeah, you want to be a part of that, right?
Yeah.
Doom.
Yeah, that's a totally different experience altogether with shareware.